I was wondering, I have a question for you. Is there anyone in the Afro-American community that you consider a positive role model?
What do you mean by the Afro-American community? What do you mean by that?
The black community.
What do you mean by the community?
The community as a whole. Is there any black...
Why do you use terms like in the community? Are you in the community, or are you are you an individual American?
Can you answer my question?
Yeah, I can answer the question as soon as you frame it correctly.
Well, how would you like me to frame
Well,
it?
why don't you say, is there any black person or African-American person? It doesn't make any difference which. And I could tell you there are many. I could tell you there are many. You have a new United States congressman in Connecticut. You probably didn't vote for him. He's in the 5th Congressional District. Do you know who I'm talking about? Gary Franks?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
In fact,
and I like Thomas Sowell, and I like Roy Innes, and I like Professor Walt Williams, and I like Professor Glenn Lowry. There are a lot of them I like, but I don't have to prove to you that I like any of them, because you're nobody. You're off my telephone line, you jerk. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Bob. I'm sort of in an interesting dilemma, and I was hoping I could put my thoughts forward and get your opinion.
Sure.
I've always been a staunch Republican and a conservative at that. Listened to the Bob Grant show ever since I can remember, and now I seem to be caught in a bit of a dilemma. It seems to me that while the Republican Party has shifted much further to the right than it ever has been.
To the right?
To the right.
To the right?
Well, the vocal people in the Republican Party, with the exclusion of George Bush, and I think the jury is yet out on Bob Grant himself. I have my questions about your philosophy as well.
Well, so what? I mean, what do you mean you have questions about my philosophy? Be more concerned with your philosophy, not mine.
Let me clarify. It seems to me that the Conservative Party and the Republicans have shifted to, if not being racist, to at least being a venue for every racist to jump out of the closet.
That's idiotic.
Well, take a look. You have Pat Buchanan. You have...
Well, Pat Buchanan's no racist.
Well, he certainly seems to be one. You have David...
Well, and why does he seem to be one? Why do you say that?
Well, from his statements about the Holocaust, and I know you rehashed this many times over and over, but, as the old adage goes, they don't say these things about you and me, so obviously there must be some semblance of truth to it, whether it's completely true or not.
All right, look, so Pat Buchanan had some misgivings about the Holocaust, so therefore a political philosophy is in doubt. Well, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Well,
First of all, you say staunch. What does staunch mean? I'm not staunch. I don't know what staunch means.
I never said...
You use the word staunch. You said I've always been a staunch Republican and a staunch conservative.
I have always been a staunch...
Those are your words. Now, all of a sudden, this great staunch guy doesn't like something Pat Buchanan said. Forget about David Duke. He doesn't count. When he was a Democrat, did you say the Democrats are no good because David Duke is a Democrat? Come on, don't be ridiculous. A guy can join any party he wants. He can run under any party label he wants. It's got nothing to do with a party.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the Republicans, I thought, made themselves look a little foolish by disavowing him so completely. They should have just ignored him instead of that constant disavowals.
Okay, well, my point...
So, Alan, look, vote for whomever you wish.
If I could...
Take issue by issue. Who cares? I don't care.
Well, my point is, if I can get it out, is that whether the Republican Party has turned racist or not, it has certainly lent itself...
Yeah, venue, as you said, venue.
That's correct. Now, I would like you to address that point, because it seems to me that...
you don't know what you're talking about. You're such a little pile of hot air. It's pathetic.
Well, I don't think getting nasty approach to
I'm not nasty. I'm just describing you. Does describing you make me nasty?
No, but it makes you childish. Whether it makes you nasty or not.
Oh, I don't know about being childish. All I know is it makes me feel better.
Well, I'm glad.
And let me tell you this.
Yes.
How I feel is important to me, just as how you feel is important to you. And I would not want to go home with agita or a lump in my throat because I didn't tell you that you're coming across like an insincere little putrid dumb jerk.
Well, I'm glad I was able to make you better, but you still haven't answered my question.
What question do you have? You didn't pose any question.
Can you address the fact that...
See, that's no question.
Okay.
Ask me a question, you putrid thing.
Do you believe that your program is lending itself as a venue for racist?
Oh, why didn't you say that in the first place? Why did you ask that in the first place instead of all this double talk about Pat Buchanan and other people and talking about the party? I have nothing to do with the party. I'm not a professional politician. I don't work for any political party.
Well, okay. Can you answer that question?
And what is the question? Frame the question.
I just framed it. Do you feel that your show lends itself as a venue for racists to spew their hatred?
No, I don't. I think that my program is the last bastion where people from the other side can be heard. And if it offends you...
No, I grant that. And I appreciate the fact that other side
Oh,
is
you're
heard.
so sanctimonious. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're so sanctimonious. You're such a putrid little nothing.
Well, that's an intelligent retort. Thank you very much, Bob.
No thanks to you. Get off my phone, you
I'll
creep.
hang up on you first. Bye.
He talks about being childish. I'll hang up on you first. Bye. After he says, thank you very much. What a putrid, fake, phony creep.
In the United States, and never mind the third world people. Well, if that had happened, Bob, it would be just like Europe all over again, because Europeans were prejudiced against one another. The Germans were against the English, and the Italians. So it would be the same problem over here. It would be one of the European countries as a minority. So it would be the same problem here in the United States. I believe...
No, it wouldn't be the same problem because we come here to become Americans. This is a melting pot.
Right, true. So why did the woman mention that only Europeans should be allowed over here? My family's been here that I know of over 6 generations that I know of, Bob, and we've done a lot for this country. I love this country. I work very hard.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you love this country. That's good. That's what I like to hear. George, you're on WABC.
Hello?
Yeah, hello,
Mr.
George.
Bob Grant, you're a great American. I listened to your program for years and years, and I just wanted to say what you think, that Irish Mick Dougherty, that he should have been deported a long time ago. You know why? Because in 1944, when we went overseas on the Queen Elizabeth, 500 WACs, 200 nurses, and 20,000 GIs, they wouldn't let us dock in Ireland. I'm Irish, Italian, American myself, and they wouldn't let us dock in Ireland because for some reason, I don't know why. So we had to dock in Glasgow, Scotland, and we could have been hit by...
Well, I'll tell you why they wouldn't let you stop in Ireland. I'll tell you why they wouldn't let you stop in Ireland.
Why?
Because Ireland was neutral.
Oh, I thought they had...
No, Ireland was neutral. They were not involved in the war.
Oh.
And it would have been totally inappropriate to have an American expeditionary force en route for D-Day to stop there. So that's why.
Excuse me,
What's that
Mr.
got to do? What's that got to do with Dougherty anyway?
Well, he's the Irish terrorist, and they wanted to keep him here. Why?
I got to get out of here. There's so many Gabons around. I can't take it. I can't. This is so stupid. It's so stupid to talk to all these Gabons. I can't believe it. No wonder we're losing to the Japanese. We're dumb and getting dumber. Hello, Bob.
Yeah, hey, Bob, you getting time and a half for working a holiday today here?
What's on your mind, Bob?
Look, I'll tell you what's on my mind, Bob. Let me ask you one question, very seriously, too. Do you equate with what's happened to the blacks in this country with what's happened with other ethnic groups, say as the Italians? I happen to be 100% Italian. I know we had it rough when we came over with my grandparents.
You came over?
No, my grandparents did.
Oh, well, then why do you say... Why do you say...
welfare.
Why do you
went out on the railroad tracks and collected coal that fell off the train and everything, and we made our way to where we are today. But do you believe that the blacks can do the same thing? Because I know you respect people as individuals, and I know there's a lot of black people that you do respect. And, you know, I can understand.
You don't have to build... You don't have to build me up. I don't need any press agent.
No, but I'm just saying.
I don't need any press agent. I don't have to flash any credentials. Matter of fact, I refuse to flash credentials. I'm me. People call. They ask me my opinion. I ask theirs, and that's that. So I don't need any build-up, pal.
No, you're right. So I'm just saying. But do you think the blacks are overly burdened? In other words, have they gone through what other ethnic groups have, or do you think it's been a little rougher for them?
Well, if you know anything about history, their experience has been different.
Different?
Of course it's been different.
How about difficult? Wouldn't difficult be more appropriate? You know,
well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold it. Do you want to make a statement? Do you have an opinion?
Yes.
Well, then why in the hell don't you give that opinion and don't try to put words in my mouth?
No, I wouldn't do that.
You won't do anything, you gabone. Debbie, you're on WABC. Hello. Besides, the guy was play acting. The guy was play acting. He was a fake and a phony. Debbie, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello. In this country today, we all agree that slavery was wrong. George Washington was a slave owner, but nobody is complaining about him having a holiday, including the black people.
Well, he was the founder of this country, and I don't want to go into that. I didn't come in here today to listen to this same old diatribe, this same garbage, and I won't. Henry, you're on WABC. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Grant.
What's the matter? What's the matter, Henry?
I'd like to ask you, I looked at 60 Minutes last night, right? And,
you what?
I looked at 60 Minutes last night.
You watched 60 Minutes?
Yeah, and they were talking about the government having $3 billion worth of goods and storages like medicine, food, tires, and stuff that the rest of the country could use during the time that we're going through with the slight recession we're having.
What, do you want to have them give it out to everybody?
Well, they said they're going to still buy, right?
They said they're going to what?
They're still going to buy. So why don't they, they buy new stuff and distribute like the medicine to the hospitals that might need it. Maybe we can save a few jobs.
Hospitals don't need any medicine. The hospitals have all the medicine they need.
They don't have the workers to take care of them. Maybe that might make a difference.
Thank you. WABC, let's say hello to Bobby. Bobby, hello.
Yeah, Bob. Now, the last year I've heard everybody, a litany of people complaining about the social problems in this country involving mostly lowercase, what I call lowercase black people. And now a great effort is being made to portray America as a great big racist country. One case in point, when President Bush was elected, much hay was made of the fact that he used Willie Horton as a commercial. Now, what they're implying by that is everybody was going to vote for Dukakis, and all of a sudden this commercial came on, and mass hysteria broke out amongst just white people, and they ran to Bush in droves just because of that commercial. And they still bring it up to this day as if it is some sort of dirty trick. Also, black people, when they're growing up, are told by their own mothers and fathers, don't you ever try. Don't you ever try. No matter what you do, you're going to be a failure. When they go to school and they do try to apply themselves, they're excoriated by their own kind.
Well, that isn't always that way. As a matter of fact, we have a United States Supreme Court Associate Justice who brought tears to everybody's eyes when he talked about his grandfather telling him that he could make it.
Oh, I agree.
Remember the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings? So don't say that that's what they're told.
Oh, no, I'm not saying. I'm saying by the peers in the welfare community, I'll say. I'm not saying that's all blacks because...
Well, I don't know that that's what's being said because I'm not on hand. Are you on hand there?
As a matter of fact, I am. I work for the government, and I work very closely, and I live in a neighborhood that is characterized this way. Now, when these kids are growing up, their parents are continuously, they take them out at midnight. I mean, things like that are very commonplace in this community. And I'm not saying there's not white people like that because there most certainly are. It's just that around New York, I think the blacks are more visible. Now, it's not to take anything away from them because...
Well, what is your message? What is your message, Bobby?
My message, Bob, is no matter what color you are, you keep your nose to the grindstone, you go get yourself an education, you work hard every day, sooner or later you catch a break.
All right.
One more thing, Bob.
Yeah.
Like, here's what kind of illustrated the point. The other day, I guess it was Friday, you had that guy from Newsday came on, and he said he'd like to see Colin Powell as a vice presidential candidate, which is fine with me. But the thing he said that it was to show people that there's no more obstacles in the way. There are no obstacles. There have not been for quite some time, and the only ones that are self-imposed. I mean, as far as I can see, it's also...
You're right, but he's one of these left-wing guilt-ridden ultra-liberals.
And just one more thing, Bob, to illustrate my point, was during the Gulf War, much hay was made of the fact that 30% of the military was black. And they said, rather than dare say that they're just being patriotic by joining, they said that this was an illustration of how tough things were in America for black people. Okay, let's assume that's true. Then what about the other 70% people who are white? Why did they join the military? Because just for the kicks of it? Maybe they've not decided whether they're going to go to Yale or be president of IBM until,
Well, Colin Powell had no problem with what you're talking about.
I know he didn't. I'm just saying, but
Right, you are, Bobby. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
WABC, it's 18 minutes now. 18 minutes now before 7 o'clock. Elpidio is on the line right now, calling from New Jersey. Yes.
Yes, Bob. I'm a long-time listener to you, and I just have a couple of things to say. One, this is the greatest country in the world. I came here in 1962, and I worked very hard, and I made it, and I'm glad to see that most of my compatriots are making it again. Now, on Saturday the 25th, Jane Fonda and Harry Belafonte are planning to have a concert to collect money to send to Castro. All Cubans are going to be starting at 11:30 on Saturday, walking all the way down to Javits Center to protest such an infamous action on the part of the rich communists. And she is living in a 500 acres farm or place in Georgia, and the people in Cuba are starving and being tortured. And another thing, for Oliver Stone, if he wants some theme to write some nice books and make a film, he should go to Cuba and see how people are being treated and starved to death. And that's all I have to say, Bob. Thanks for lending me your ears.
Alpidio, you're a great guy, and of course we talked to some people on the air about what's going to happen on the 25th of January. And it's so sickening. You have anti-Americans like Belafonte and Jane Fonda, people like that, who have run out of heroes because of the collapse of communism all around the world, and they're hard up for heroes. And they say, "Wait a minute, we still have Fidel." Anybody who is anti-American, Jane Fonda likes. Anybody who's anti-American, Harry Belafonte likes. And to show you what a feckless panderer Il Supremo is, that arrogant, putrescence up in Albany, he was being interviewed today, and he says, last night I was talking to Harry Belafonte. I wish Jay were here. He could imitate him. I was talking to Harry Belafonte about what Martin King would say if he were alive today, and we need him more than ever. I mean, here's this panderer hanging around with Harry Belafonte, who, like Chris Christopherson, Ed Asner, Jane Fonda, and a whole host of ultra-left-wing scumbags, will support anybody who's against the United States. And yet they go on raking in more and more and more money. Jane Fonda is incredibly rich, incredibly wealthy. What kind of a sick mind must she have that she wants to raise money to keep Fidel Castro in power?
Well, she's going to see a lot of Cubans, many coming from Los Angeles, Miami, even Canada. They'll be here.
Yeah.
And it'll be a statement. I don't think she's going to forget that.
Well, I'm sick and tired of Jane Fonda. I wish she would just disappear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regina, you're on WABC. Bob Grant, hello.
Hi, Bob Grant. I'm here. I just wanted to make a comment that violence and prejudice isn't that new a thing. What happened to me during World War II, I have a German last-sounding name. And the kids from the grade school would wait for me to walk home. And I'd come home bloodied and cut from rocks and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I remember that thing, but I got over it. And my mother took me out of that school. I went to a Catholic school, and she changed my last name, and I survived World War II.
Isn't that terrible that you had to do? Well, of course,
I still have scars on my legs from the stone.
Uh-huh.
But every day the crowd got bigger and bigger, and my mother was afraid for my life.
Yep. Well, I understand what you're saying, and you're so right. Hatred, violence, prejudice, these things are not new. They're not unique to this country, not unique to any one race. And your point is well taken. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you.
That's Regina calling from Patterson, which, by the way, was certified wall-to-wall Bob Grant country on November 9th, 1974. This official proclamation. Marnie, you're on WABC. Bob Grant here. Hello, here's Marnie from White Plains.
Good evening, Mr. Grant. I caught your program this evening. I'm not usually in it this time, and as I'm listening, I'm getting more and more steamed, and so I said, I've got to call. I'm a first-time caller. So bear with me if my voice starts to crack and I get a little dry in the mouth. But I am so fed up with what I'm hearing and seeing about this Martin Luther King holiday. And, I mean, I even saw something in today's New York Times where a reverend was talking to some children, I guess in a church of some sort, and there was a mural in the background of Martin Luther King in sort of robes, you know, looking like Moses and ascending to heaven with his arms outstretched, and he looked very angelical. And I don't say that a holiday shouldn't be something that should be in effect for these people to honor someone they obviously have a great deal of respect for. But I get really bent out of shape when I hear white people who are such obvious hypocrites saying things like, he was a wonderful man, he is a great man. And then I said to a friend of mine, well, what do you think of Thomas Jefferson? Oh, well, that's different. He lived so long ago. Well, what do you think of John Quincy Adams? Who? You have white people in this country who are so abysmally ignorant. And I think that ignorance is just right for left-wingers to come in and exploit and manipulate. And nothing will ever change in this country because I think the white population is too, and I don't know if this is the correct word, but fractious. In other words, there is no cohesive group anymore. You have your Italian Americans, your German Americans, your Irish.
I'm glad you're saying that, but I want to point something out to you, Marty. I've asked this question, and I'll ask it of you. Why do you suppose that there are so many of these organizations that people just say, that's nice, you know, that's a Hungarian American club, the Irish American Club, the Hibernians. But if you took all those together, all those groups together, and you said, hey, let's not have this national identity. Let's just come together as white folk. You know you'd be called racist. In other words, if you go to the Polish American Club or the Jewish American Club, that's okay. But if you combined all those people who are of a Caucasian persuasion, then somehow or other, that's ugly. That's racist. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand, and I agree with you completely, and I'll take it one step further. I would suspect, although I wasn't around during those times, but I would suspect that Hitler and his brown shirts and the Democratic Socialist Party started their reign of terror in the exact same way. In other words, certain things are taboo. And if you put a certain, and the word that's used a lot today is spin, if you put a certain spin on something, you will find people recoiling from that thing because they don't want to be associated with it.
Well, that's right, buzzwords.
That's right. And the far left has very successfully and effectively manipulated the population to think that any time you talk about white people getting together and protesting, you are immediately pigeonholed. Now, I go one step further. Why aren't people protesting the likes of Jane Fonda? They won't, because nobody really has a vested interest anymore in this country. Everyone seems to be out for himself or herself or their own little group, whether it be
we have to ask questions.
Or religious.
You know, we have to ask questions. We have to ask somebody like Jane Fonda why she wants to raise money to perpetuate a mass murderer like Fidel Castro, an enemy of freedom like Fidel. Why? Why does she want to do that?
Well, look, Bob, there was something on last night about a well-known American communist by the name of Mr. Dennis. I forget his first name, but it was a very interesting thing. It was run on cable.
What'd you say his last name was?
Dennis, but it had been changed. But he and his wife were evidently very well known in the American Communist Party during the 50s and the 60s, and he was a spy. His son was telling the story, and he was educated in Moscow, and it was a very interesting story. But the point I'm making is this. He at one time became very disillusioned with Stalin. The word was out as to the atrocities that this man had committed.
Yeah.
So Mr. Dennis was now fully aware of what communism could do and in subjugating and torturing its people. Yeah. And still, he remained an ardent communist trying to start an American Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask about Jane Fonda, and I say she goes from one cause to another, deep into denial.
Yeah.
Who knows why she's getting her jolly?
No, she doesn't really change causes. She may change venues, to use a word employed earlier, but the cause is the same. The cause is any left-wing dictatorship that is inimical to the United States, any left-wing government or entity that is opposed to the United States, then she's for. Marnie, I appreciate the call, and thank you very much. Jollies. David, you're at WABC. David from New Jersey. Hello, David.
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
What's on your mind besides how I'm doing?
I have been tuning into your show for the last couple months.
Oh, this ought to be good, folks. This ought to be good. This guy's gonna really be a Boniface. He's I could just hear this approach. You know, this is an old approach.
And one thing I like...
Yeah, he's not being deterred because the group that put him up to this call instructed him very well. Don't get ruffled, no matter what Bob Grant does. Keep hammering away with your same phony baloney.
You are a bastard. You're no good. Are you still there, Bob?
The question is, are you still there? That's the question.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, you're there,
yes,
and I'm here. And that
you're
eat your heart out.
You know, you have a frighteningly limited mentality. I swear, you know, you are ignorant to everyone's views except your own.
You know, you sound like you're a little double-gated.
Okay? Shut up while I'm talking.
You don't tell me to shut up, pal. How dare you? I mean, I would have let you stay on, but you don't use that kind of language. What do we have here? Sion?
Hello?
Yes?
I'd like to call in response to someone you had on in the last hour who asked about Black Awards.
Yeah, by the way, I want you people to think of that last guy that was on. Now you know why when they say, how are you, or how you doing, I don't get involved with, oh, fine, because he's not interested in how I'm doing or how am I. He's only interested in sticking the shiv in. Yes, go ahead, Sion.
I'd just like to respond to the caller and let him know that for many years, blacks were not recognized in the white community, so that in order for them to give recognition, they had to have their own shows. Also, I'd like to speak to a caller that you had in this hour while I was holding, who said that if anybody works hard, gets an education, and keeps their nose to the grindstone, they'll get a break. I wish he would say that to the three women.
Well, there's a lot of people who don't get breaks. I know. I'm looking at some guys right now. They feel they've been working very hard, and they haven't got any breaks. That slams the lid on things for today. Until tomorrow, this is Bob Grant reminding you, your influence counts. Use it. WABC, New York. It's 7 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Doug Lim.
In the older person, is the woman is, I understand, always ready for sex, so they say. And
how old do you mean by older?
Well, we'll say in their 70s.
Okay.
But usually the man is not able to.
Well, that's not always true. And what I have discovered from interviewing both men and women is even if a man can't achieve a full erection, and even if he can't always ejaculate, he still enjoys sex at that age.
Up to what age in a man?
Up to any age in a man. He enjoys pleasing his partner. He enjoys the intimate contact, and if it's someone that he cares about, and especially someone he's been with a while, he really enjoys giving her an orgasm, no matter how that takes place.
Have you written a book?
Have I written a book? Yes.
You were listening to the introduction here. The title of the book is Sexual Pleasures. And is published by St. Martin's Press.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. Thank you. And where do you go from here, Susan Crane Bakos? I mean, I don't mean geographically, but I mean, where do we go from here? Are we constantly going to be trying to find some answers that make us comfortable with our own sexuality? Is it possible that programs, I can't help but notice the various programs, the Donahues, the Oprahs, the Sallys, most of their subject matter deals, most of it, not all of it, most of it deals with something sexual. Geraldo, Hard Copy, what is that other one? Current Affair, Inside Edition. I see this sexual preoccupation more than any other any other preoccupation, which really shouldn't surprise me. But it's there, isn't it?
It is there. But there's a kind of strange attitude about sex in America. On the one hand, we're titillated and we're preoccupied, and we want sex in our advertising, we want sex on TV. And on the other hand, we're so puritanical and judgmental, and we have so much trouble in our own personal lives in achieving sexual pleasure. So maybe it's the fact that we have so much trouble that makes us so interested in sex as a subject. Maybe if we were a little more relaxed about sex and enjoyed it more, as the Europeans do, we wouldn't be so hysterical about the subject of sex publicly.
It's such a contradiction because we are all the things you said we are, and yet the only nation I know of where in many of the school districts they hand out condoms to children, in effect saying, go right ahead, do it, but use this when you do it. That blows my mind.
I don't know if it's true that we're the only nation that's where this is.
Well,
I have no idea.
Okay, let's forget about the forget about the fact I said we're the only nation. I think we are, but whether we are or whether we aren't, isn't that a dichotomy? Isn't that a contradiction?
Of course it's a dichotomy and it's a contradiction. And the really sad thing is that parents seem unable to talk to their children about sex.
Still.
I mean, this should be something that happens at home. You know, I have a son who's 24, and we told him about sex at home. We answered his questions at home. It seems like that's where it should happen, but it doesn't because American families have so much trouble dealing with it.
Let's take one more call. Ben is on the line right now. We're calling from New York City. Go ahead, Ben.
Yes, I'd like to ask you a question about the sexuality. A man, it seems like the society puts pressure on the men. Is it possible that a lot of women have their husbands or boyfriends cheat on them because they are not performing sexually or satisfying their men sexually? It's a two-way street, because at one point in time, men was always supposed to have sex no matter if he liked it or not. That was the male pressure. But now, a lot of women seem to have a husband at home who won't have sex with her, but he'll have sex with somebody else. Could it be that the pressure is a two-way street?
Well, there is a lot of pressure on men, and that's, all kidding aside, is one reason I wrote this book. I think women need to take responsibility for our own sexual pleasure. There's too much pressure on men to please us. We think men are supposed to have all the answers. They're supposed to know what to do. And if women aren't happy with their sex lives, they blame their partners. They never think of, their own role in achieving sexual pleasure. And I think you're right. I do think one reason that some men cheat is because they can't please their partners. And that is so frustrating to them. And it destroys their ego to the point where they want to go out and have an affair with someone they can please. They want to please someone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the title of the book, Sexual Pleasures, by our guest Susan Crane Bakos. And this is called a landmark book, which answers many questions and answers them candidly and in very good taste. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm from Woodbridge.
That's right, home of Caroline Street, if you know where that is. Pleasure talking.
No, I only know the Rio Diner, and that's all I have to know.
I've eaten there many times, and I've yet to meet you there. I guess I eat there at the wrong times.
I guess you do.
I wasn't able to ask my big sexual question, but
What was it?
I wanted to know the one thing in her book that men don't know. There must be something about women and about men. There must be a big secret there that she's talking about in her book.
Well, I don't know if it's so much of a secret, but she says, believe it or not, that men still haven't learned to be open and honest and ask what a woman wants. That they are afraid to ask a woman, what do you want? And a lot of times women are afraid to tell him what she wants, and it's up to him to approach the subject in such a way that she will tell him what she wants. If you can understand what I'm saying.
That seems to be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the answer is take me out for a good meal.
Well, we're not talking about that, John. We're not really talking about that at all. We're talking specifically about sexual activity.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Okay.
I'm sure she would have answered that, too.
Well, and she says in the book that men don't really communicate. They think they do. They're saying something or they're not saying something. But her advice to men is to just say, especially, and she points out it doesn't make any difference whether the person is newly acquainted with you or if you have been married to her for a long time. She said, as a matter of fact, it would be a good idea for a lot of men to say, honey, we've been married, 16 years? Have you been enjoying our sex life?
That's a good question.
Now, if a man's has any kind of self-esteem, he won't be afraid of the answer. The trouble is, a lot of men are so hypocritical they couldn't take it if the woman says, "Well, no." They'd think it was a slam on his masculinity. Actually, it's not a slur on his masculinity. It just means that he hasn't been doing the right thing.
Exactly, Bob. Listen, I wanted to speak to you yesterday. I didn't get a chance to get through about the President's State of the Union address, if I can talk about that.
Yes?
I found him inspiring, and I have more trust than ever in the man. And I think for the general public, to expect him to answer all our problems in a couple of hours is ridiculous. And I must mention your traffic man in the morning with Lisa and Curtis.
Yes.
I heard his comment about the president, and I'm really angry and insulted about it. And I think the man should be reprimanded. I'm not sure what his name is.
Well, you should contact the station. I mean, calling me really does no good. But you should contact...
And I think you mentioned it yesterday on your show. That
I
you had
did,
heard.
because I happened to hear also. And I was livid with rage, because I don't believe traffic people are hired to do that. Now, if he's hired to do that, fine. Then he's doing what he was hired to do. But it was my belief that he was hired to do the traffic, which he does quite well.
Well, I'll certainly call the station, that's for sure.
Well, that's the thing to do, or write them a letter.
I was wondering also if you saw the Dan Rather call-in show after the President's address.
No, I was not watching Channel 2. I heard about it, and...
it was extremely biased.
I understand. I understand it was.
It was full of negativity and rhetorical questions. And I think that now I'm even more sure that the press is biased.
Well,
in a certain direction.
It is biased. There's no doubt about it, and I appreciate your call.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Say hello to Bill. Bill, you're on WABC. Bob Grant here. Hello.
Good afternoon, Bob. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Bob, I'm calling you. I wanted to speak to you about Leonard Jeffries, and I'm very upset about stuff that I've been seeing that he's been doing. I guess the last couple of days, his back. Well, unfortunately, I guess he's not in the forefront of the media because other things like the president's address has overshadowed it, perhaps. But his same, I guess, outrageous self. Unfortunately, there was an article about him in the Star Ledger today, which was buried towards the back of the first section. What I wanted to ask you about, I feel that there's two. Normally, I'm concerned that there's two types of bigots. Some are credible, and some are non-credible. Someone like a credible bigot, I feel maybe someone like Jesse Jackson. I always thought of Jeffries as a non-credible bigot. I mean, he goes around and he walks around in a costume. He spews nothing but hate and bigotry. But it seems to me the more outrageous he gets, the more credibility he begins to get. And I'm really concerned about that. Maybe you can clarify something for me. There was reference to it in the Star Ledger today. Plus, I saw something on the news last night about some type of testing he does for who students will be as far as racial purity.
That's true. That's true.
He doesn't like light-skinned blacks. I don't understand the whole thing.
Well, okay, here's what it is. Once again, I want to point out that this illustrates the double standard that we have in this country. Because
better than anything.
Yeah. Here's what he does. He maintains that he wants only pure Africans. Even if a person appears to be of pure African background, he wants to make sure they're of pure African background and have not been infected with any white ancestry. And he claims he can do that through a blood test. Now, here we've been told that the only difference is in the skin color. And that all blood is red and all blood is the same. And this guy comes out and says he can tell by testing the blood. So he wants to test, and he wants only pure Africans in his class. Well, that'd be great if he were in his own country, if he had some country. But he's in the United States of America. He doesn't know he's in the United States of America because the United States of America has not applied the same standards to him as it would for a white counterpart. You understand?
Well, could you imagine a white professor getting up and...
That's exactly my point.
What does a white person wear? A nicely tailored business suit and a shirt and tie, and getting up and doing testing because he doesn't want African Americans. He doesn't want Chinese Americans. He doesn't want...
Well, look, we don't have to go through all that. There's only one political figure I know of who has spoken out, and that's Herman Badillo.
That's correct.
And Herman Badillo points out that Harrelson, the president of the university up there, is afraid that there would be riots. Well, what he's saying is that he doesn't believe that they're really students up there. He believes that they're a bunch of wild savages who, if they don't get their way, riot. And you know what? He's right. They are a bunch of savages. They're not students. And they would riot. They would break anything they could. And they'd get away with it because we have surrendered to them. I said a long time ago, and a lot of people didn't like it, and I got a lot of abuse, but I don't give a damn. I said a long time ago there are some blacks who have declared war on the rest of us. The only thing is we don't know it. But little by little, you're getting to know it. Leonard Jeffries has declared war on white America. And he is obsessed with this, and he won't stop.
But he's not losing.
That's exactly what. Why should he stop? He's not losing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Bob. I'm calling about these savages that are on the streets with their squeegees. The Black Jesse James, I call them. They're out in the street, and no matter what block you go on, they're there. I mean, if you took care of every guy with a squeegee in his hand on every corner, you'd wind up going broke before you got home.
Well, why not take care of him another way?
Well, I got to be honest with you, Bob. I got mace in my car. I'm ready and tempted to use it. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, but mace isn't fatal.
Yeah, that's true too. But I mean, I read in the paper the other day that, or a week ago, that this guy was going to do something about it. This Dinkins, and I haven't seen a damn thing done about it yet. They tie up traffic. They harass people, especially women. I mean, they're really... I feel sorry for the girls in the car. That's the only thing I got to say. And I appreciate you taking my call, Bob.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. Ricky, hello to you on WABC.
Yeah, Bob. Rick, first-time caller from Stony Point.
Yes.
You know, I picked up the Post today, and I'm just amazed at what I read. With like Amy Pagnozzi, Eric Brendel. I mean, the bottom line is, this Bill Clinton, he lied to the American people.
Well, Amy Pagnozzi's not taking him off the hook, is she?
Huh? Well, she's blasting Jennifer Flowers.
Yeah, but she's not saying that makes Bill Clinton peachy keen. Is she?
But it's like no matter what, news you listen to, they're like avoiding that this man lied to the American people.
Why are you so selective in what you're saying about the New York Post? Why did you not report on Deborah Orrin's column, Inside Washington, with the sub-headline, "The Late Night Verdict is in, Bill Clinton's a joke"?
Well, yeah, no, she's talking about a guy that was telling jokes at night. You know, they had 7 jokes about Bill Clinton. But I didn't see where she's blasting. I don't see where, these reporters are coming out and saying, here's a man running for the presidency, and he's lied to the American people, number one. Number two, he also gave that Jennifer Flowers a job, without the proper qualifications.
Well, I agree with you.
This is totally crazy.
Well, I tell you, there were a lot of people. I was not one of them, and I have tapes to prove it, but there were a lot of people that I interviewed who are supposed to be very close to the political world who said Bill Clinton was finished. He was washed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I didn't think so because the media seems to be going to bat for him. And the media has put a spin on this story that has thus far saved him.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have enough confidence in the American people that in the final analysis, they're going to remember not that he had a strong libido, not that he chose to fool around with this broad, but that he lied about it and tried to weasel out of it, and that conversation he had with her, which we all heard on tape, is not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
That's my belief. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but that's my belief.
Okay, well, Bob, thanks for it was good talking to you, and I just hope the people wake up and look at the real point. The man lied.
Thank you, Ricky.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Walt, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Bob. How you doing? I listen to you once in a while on the way home from work, and sometimes you aggravate me, and sometimes I like what you say. But what I would like to say is go back to the beginning of the Reagan administration. When he took office, one of the first things he did was smash down on the air traffic controllers because they were asking for too much money and too many benefits.
No, that isn't why he did it. He did it because they went on strike, and there's a law that says public employees cannot strike. And they were told that if they were in violation of that law, that the law would have to be enforced. And they tested it anyway because maybe they thought Jimmy Carter was there. So
Well,
that's the real reason they were fired.
Okay.
And the public applauded it. There was a 78% approval rating from the American people on that action.
Right. Well, see, maybe a lot of the American public are not educated in the fact that blue-collar workers and white-collar, as they would be considered, I assume, from what they made, the union members are the people who buy refrigerators and cars and TVs and VCRs.
Well, what is this guy? Wait a minute. That took place in 1981.
Yeah.
And that was 1,480 or 1,490 people. Now, it sent a message. It sent a message to what?
It sent a message to every businessman and corporation in the United States that this is how we should deal with this so-called problem. But meanwhile, as these people, and as you can see today, the effect that it's had on this country.
I don't believe your reasoning. What you're saying has no logic whatsoever.
All right. Here you go.
First of all, you proved how ignorant you are.
Oh, certainly.
By virtue of saying the reason for the strike, which was incorrect.
All right.
Secondly, you transposed that, reflected out 11 years, and you say that it's infected everybody. That if he had given in to the blackmailers in Patco, everything would be peachy keen. Is that what you're saying?
No, not exactly. What I'm trying to say is that during the reign of Reagan and Bush, and you get to this point in time now, and it has taken 11 or 12 years for this stuff to take effect.
What stuff?
The anti-union rhetoric, the campaign against union workers who go out and buy all the goods.
There's no campaign against union workers. And listen, if it were only union people who are not buying goods, it wouldn't be so bad, because I got news for you. There's only about 13 million people in the labor market who are in labor unions. You're one of the few. I'm one of the few, too. The only difference is I know the real story and you don't.
All right, now, Bob, now listen. You tell me that Reagan didn't have a campaign out to do away with unionization.
If he did, then he failed, because the unions are still there.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Now, who is able in this country during his reign?
Oh, stop it with the reign, you idiot! During his reign, what do we have? Kings now? During his reign. WABC, hello.
589-1000. Got it. Bob, if it weren't for you, I don't know how I'd make the ride home every night. Let me assure you that I am not a gakazot. I am not a fake, a phony, a fraud. I raise this issue with you not to needle you or get under your skin. I really want to know what you think about it. A guy by the name of Wayne Barrett has written a book about Donald Trump and his downfall.
I interviewed Wayne Barrett.
Okay, now you know that in that book he draws some kind of correlation between Trump and the mob, with organized crime and concrete contracts and so on. And Mario Cuomo's name is liberally sprinkled, along with his son Andrew's name, sprinkled throughout that book.
All right.
What do you make of that? And I'm not coming to any conclusions or drawing any, because I can't, but I'm wondering, what do you make of that? And is there some smoke there that could lead to the kind of fire that keeps the governor out of the presidential race?
All right. I'm glad you asked that point, Ted, and I've been remiss in really following up on it, but it's absolutely true. Now, Wayne Barrett had written about this in the Village Voice several months ago. And Wayne Barrett is a very reputable journalist. He doesn't go off half-cocked. This guy is truly an investigative reporter, and he doesn't care where the chips may fall. He will go after a story, and he will examine it, and he will analyze it. And when he gets all the facts together, he will write about it. I think it's important for me to stress the fact that this is a reputable reporter, a man of integrity. Now, having said that, let me tell you that if you read the book, then you have to come to the conclusion that this is the vulnerable issue for Mario Cuomo. It's interesting, though, that what is a truly vulnerable issue is not even discussed.
No.
And even I haven't really particularly talked about it, but it is not even discussed. Do you think Larry King, who kisses his tush every time he sees him? I mean, it was so embarrassing to see King interview Il Supremo last night. I mean, I had to watch it because he might have said something that would have been important for me to know so that I could deal with it on the Bob Grant Show.
Let me tell you, sir, that I called in and asked this very question, and they kept me on hold for the better part of
They wouldn't put John.
You got it.
No, they wouldn't put John.
That's right.
But Andrew apparently is the Achilles heel. And if you read the book, you don't need me to explain because you sound like an intelligent man who knows how to read.
I read the book. I just wanted your comment on it. I didn't want to come on with a premise and a conclusion, but that's what I thought, and I'm glad to hear you read it the same way I did.
It's unmistakable, I think. It's unmistakable. And I appreciate you calling, and you are a certified member of the Bob Grant Horny Brigade, are you?
You better believe it.
All right, let me hear you prove that. You're calling from your car. Let me hear a double beep.
I don't know if you heard it. Wait, I'll put the phone out the window if you want. There you go.
Very good. You have a nice horn.
Take care, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And let's see, Nick is checking in right now. I had a girl say that to me one time. I don't know what she meant.
A country that doesn't protect and defend its borders is nothing for a carcass for the predators to feed off of. And, we had a few years ago, the Congress granted amnesty to the illegal aliens, promising us that they would control immigration. Well, now 30% of these people they granted amnesty to are on welfare and probably committing crime. Out here in Queens, the New York Times just did a story about how illegal alien third world criminals are setting up chop shops. They're involved with massive drug dealing, enforced prostitution of 16-year-old girls. And we also had the story of how the motor vehicle department employees were arrested for selling phony driver's licenses. And this comes to my point. I think it's time for a national identification card. I think we could have one with a picture, with fingerprints, that it could have magnetic coating in the back of it, sort of similar to the way our credit cards are arranged, and it could be all hooked into state capitals. If we can spend billions of dollars on high-tech defense equipment, why can't we spend a couple of $1 billion, maybe 2 or 3, to get a national ID card system in place in this country where you have it, it's defended like we defend our currency. This whole stuff with the passports and driver's licenses, this is old stuff. It's old technology. These criminals know how to circumvent it. They know how to forge it. And what's happening out here, even in Queens, I mean, we haven't turned to the Bronx yet, but it's very frightening. I see what's going on out here, and there's a lot of illegal aliens involved in criminal activities in this city now, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Okay, you covered it very nicely. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you, Lou.
I do not understand how a country founded by immigrants could be sending these people back home to a government like that. And if they were of a lighter skin shade, Italians or Jewish, whatever you have, they would be living right now in the lap of luxury in this country. And as far as the gentleman who said to you before about you going national, well, sir, you are national. And it's called the Ku Klux Klan. That's my firm belief.
Where are you from, pal?
Queens.
No, I mean prior to your arrival in Queens.
Where am I from?
Yeah.
Harlem.
Prior to your arrival in Harlem.
Where's I from? My mother and father.
Okay. You sound as though you have a cold. Do you have a cold, Roger?
Yes, I do.
Well, I hope you take care of it. I hope you get better. Mentally as well as physically. You jerk. Get off my phone. On WABC, let's say hello to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Oofa.
Oofa. You know, it's funny. Guys of Roger's persuasion can't say Ku Klux Klan. You notice? Ku Klux Klan. Ku Klux Klan. Can't even say it, for heaven's sake.
Oh, boy.
What's on your mind, Joe?
I remember reading not too long ago that when Mayor Dinkins visited with Mandela, there was something said that he was going to see to it that some Africans would be visaed over to New York.
That's right.
In the future.
That's right.
Okay.
They were going to study. They were going to study management. Seriously, they were going to study government management, middle management.
Middle management.
Middle management.
Middle management.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Now, he recently received $76 million from the government.
True.
And hopefully he's supposed to build 837 units.
True.
How many of those Africans are going to be living in those units, do you think?
You mean from the continent itself?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get Roger back on the phone from Queens and find out.
One other observation. Would you like to know about Baba Booey?
What is the Baba Booey? Yeah, because, you know, I have to laugh at these punks, these real shorted out AAA Sicolas who call, and they think the world's going to come to an end because they go Baba Booey, Baba Booey. You know, it doesn't bother us.
You really want? No, I'll tell you about Baba Booey. Baba Booey's real name is Gary Delabate. Does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, he's Howard Sperm's producer.
Exactly. A guy that has no talent, no personality, but just knows the mechanics to that job. Well, one day he came in, he had bought a cartoon. You know, remember Baba Louie?
No, I don't know who Baba Louie...
Well, it was a cartoon. This kid collects cartoons. And so he was telling Howard Stern that he had bought this cartoon for a few $100, and the name of the cartoon was Baba Booey. Stern said, no, it's Baba Louie. So from that day on, they've been calling him Baba Booey. And so he has some of his pencil neck geek friends calling up different places.
Yeah.
And, you know, just saying Baba Booey, just to get it out there if he wants to get famous.
Oh, dear.
That's the bottom line. That's it in a nutshell.
Uh-huh.
It's funny, isn't it?
No, it's not funny. It's so unfunny that it's funny. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
You know, I got to give Sperm credit. He has parlayed a total lack of talent into a big success.
Only in America.
Yeah, only in America. Because really, the guy has no talent for anything. He really doesn't. Here's a guy who spends, 4.5, 5 hours talking about himself from beginning to end. Talking about himself. His successes, his triumphs, his frustrations, his annoyances, all the people that he hates. And that's why the show has to take 5 hours, because he hates everybody.
And he capitalizes on everyone else's misery.
That's right. And he's got the media. He's got the media. He's got even that putrid George Maxian kissing his tush, which is amazing. I don't get it, but he's doing it.
I don't get it either.
But it's a phenomenon. You got to take whatever it is, there's an old saying, can't argue with success. But here's a guy, really, ladies and gentlemen, maybe you don't know, but he just spends, correct me if you disagree, Joe,
yes.
He spends most of the time, almost 100% of the time, talking about himself. What he did last night, what he's going to do the night before, what rock star annoys him, what celebrity stiffed him.
Well, I agree with that to a certain degree, because about a year ago he made a statement. He said, from now on, I'm just going to discuss sex. Lesbians, I'm going to get into that. Because
what is the lesbian thing? What is he so fascinated with lesbians?
He feels it's very marketable. He feels people want this, they like it.
I guess they do.
He's selling it.
I guess the reason he's successful is he knows that everybody's as sleazy as he is, or most everybody. No, really. I saw the TV show. Why does he even bother with the little bikinis? Why doesn't he just have them nude while he's at it?
He even admitted that his last show was so stupid that it was funny.
And sending Melendez to the Jennifer
yeah, let me ask you about
Flowers thing.
They get a press card. I mean, I can't believe that they're able to get a press card.
Well, yeah, here's how that works. Press cards are issued in two ways. One, to actual persons. Mm-hmm. Like we have, for example, Bob Capers, press card. Naturally, he's going to have a press card because he's covering stories. Mm-hmm. But in addition to personnel who get press cards, the station gets a generic press card. So this guy walks in, it says WXRK. Is that that's the station he works for? Yeah, I guess so. WXRK.